Your groove.
Yeah. Come on, Britt, let's get it.
I'm feeling good. Welcome into Alarm Fantasy Football, everybody. Look at Britt. Whoa, Britt, what's the matter? It's not Humphreys McGee, so you're not going to like boogie to it? What's up?
No, this chair doesn't have a lot of movement. If I move, I possibly may not get back. But I'm vibing in my brain.
Conditions need to be perfect.
All right. Viewers, but okay, sure. Why not? Yeah. What's going on, guys? What's going on, everybody out there? Thank you so much for joining us here for Alarm Fantasy Football. If you were just tuning in to Getting Buzzed with Scott Fish, I thank you so much for staying with us here because I've got Britt Flinn. I've got Andrew Cooper. We've got Thursday Night Football. Oh. There is a lot happening right now. I've got articles posted on Fantasy Alarm all over the place. Britt's weekly previews, weekly matchup report, that came out. Coop's tight end yin yang, that's out there. DFS coaches. I've got a best bets article up for tonight. I've got confidence pool picks for everybody. That's out there on the site. FantasyAlarm.com is where you want to be. FantasyAlarm.com/win is where you need to be. If you don't have a subscription, you can do yourself a favor. Get that 7-day free trial that we've got going on and win some money this week, and it'll just pay for itself. It will just pay for itself. So
it's free real estate.
Right. Free real estate. Real estate's where it's all about. Land. Right. I think that was I was about to just reference a movie that was way before your guys' time. So I will not do that at all. But for those of you my age or older, think Otisburg and think Lex Luthor. And
hey, everybody, an old man's talking.
Burns. You know, as much as I love our producer, Brian Burns, I really hate Brian Burns.
I love and respect Brian Burns.
No!
Got it.
All right, well, let's start talking about it here. We've got some we'll get to the news and notes. We'll talk some underdog higher or lower picks that we want to do. There's all sorts of news to get to. We'll make our picks for tonight's game. But let's start off here with tonight's game. And Britt, you've been scouring that injury report, and there is, some not so good news for a lot of people.
Yeah, this game in particular, I mean, the Vikings already ruled out their center. One of their other offensive linemen is questionable, ruled day-to-day, but not looking great. And that offensive line looked very suspect last week anyway. The running game was basically non-existent. And for the Eagles, Bradbury's ruled out. They've got a couple of other injuries as well. It just might be a very sloppy game. I was thinking that the Eagles could get back to, their offensive efficiency after kind of a slow start last week against the Patriots. But this game might just be, it has the potential to be either very bad or very high scoring. And I'm not sure which at this point.
Right. Give me high scoring.
Yeah,
give me high scoring.
I'm leaning high scoring, but
at least with the early Thursday night games, as you get farther in the season, guys are so banged up. Like they say, every player is quote unquote hurt, and you only play if you're not injured later in the season. But at least now we're only 1 week in, so Thursday's not necessarily as sloppy, right? Like hopefully we get the good Thursday game here before down the road when it's just like wheeling guys out that just played a couple days ago, right? So hopefully we're all right.
Fingers crossed on that. Now, Coop, you do a snap counts article over at fantasyalarm.com, which is huge. And I think one of the situations that we definitely have to take a look at is the fact that, Britt, your man Sellers, his boy Kenneth Gainwell, out for today's game. It's a rib injury here. Coop, let's talk about listen, Rashad Penny was inactive last week. He was a healthy scratch. He's going to be around. Sirianni said that DeAndre Swift will sometimes have a role where he carries the load for the game. Is he talking about this one, or is that the sucker play? And you got to look at Rashad Penny and Boston Scott tonight.
I think personally, if I'm going to go for anybody, my rule of thumb is go for the guy that I think is going to catch the passes, and that's going to be DeAndre Swift. Rashad Penny, even if he comes in, he's still a plotter. This is a guy that's never caught more than 10 passes in a season. I know he's been banged up, but I mean, come on now. 10 pass. I've seen Deion Jackson get 10 receptions in one game once. Deion Jackson. So he can't catch 10 passes in a season. So if I'm going to go with anybody, I'm just chasing the receptions with Swift. But at the same time, I never trust these coaches when they come out. This is the guy that calls the plays, right? We talked about it last show. He comes out and says, we need to get Swift the ball more. We need to get Dallas Goedert the ball more. You know who's in charge of that? You, dude. Like, you're the person that picks who gets the ball. I mean, like, you know?
It's like buyer's remorse or regret. Like, oops, I did a bad thing. And now I'm just trying to cover it up by placing the blame on somebody else. It's
Right.
like, Howard, in the last show, y'all were talking about farting on a plane. It's like if you farted on a plane and you blamed it on the guy next to you. That's what Sirianni is doing right now, because he is in charge of who gets the ball and when. But going back to thank you, Burns. Thank you. That's great.
For the record, I blamed it all on Adam Bernard, my producer, who's sitting right in front of me. So
Burns
every
in
time
the
something
chat.
happened, I was like,
yeah, it's that guy.
Burns in the private chat actually said that he didn't play that. He said it came from your microphone, Britt.
I
wish you weren't a liar.
Yeah. Anyway, did not. I am very proud if I fart. I will own that. But I think that Swift is probably going to be the guy, but it is so annoying to hear Sirianni say that he wants to get him more involved and then go, well, he'll get the ball when he can, blah, 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 blah. Like, we just don't really know. And Tommy in the chat saying Boston Scott, sneaky DFS, he could be right, because I think that this is just a total committee. I don't necessarily know if the Vikings are going to be able to hang with the Eagles because of their defense. And it could be Boston Scott in a bunch of garbage time. So I'm just kind of steering away from everybody in this backfield. And I don't think it's going to be very pretty.
Well, Scott Frankel points out, he makes a great point here with the drafting. The Eagles backfield is like playing Russian roulette fantasy football style. And that's how I was treating it. It's not that I loved Kenneth Gainwell the way Chris Sellers did. It was that he was the cheapest in an ambiguous backfield. So I was like, yeah, why don't I get myself a shot at this? But in general, we don't want a quarterback that runs it himself, doesn't like dumping it down. We don't want a team that uses some illegal or QB sneak that should be illegal at the goal line every single time, right? And if I'm playing Russian roulette, I want to go last, right? Like, you want, like, I want to go last, and let's see if people bite the bullet first. So yeah, I let everybody else take DeAndre Swift, and I took Gainwell. But if Gainwell's out, and we have to pick somebody, it's Swift. But you're right, Frankel. I'd rather just avoid the whole situation if I can.
I built a DFS showdown lineup over on DraftKings, and I threw Rashad Penny in there just as the contrarian play. I mean, you need to, when you're doing one of these mega multi-entry showdown line, any contest that's mega multi-entry, you got to find different ways to, change things up. And I think, utilizing either Boston Scott or Rashad Penny is the way to go. And I do feel like there'll be, if we're going to talk ownership percentages, I feel like it'll be Swift, then Boston Scott, then down here, maybe a little Rashad Penny. So we'll see what happens with that. We'll talk more about this game. We'll give you some higher or lower props that we are looking at over at our friends on Underdog Fantasy and go from there. But we've got, there's obviously other injury news, and this is a Thursday here. Now, obviously, on Coop's football fiasco, Britt's blitz on Friday, you're going to get, the rest of this, news that's coming in as far as which players are in and out of practice and who we expect to see on the field on Sunday. But there are some stories right now. We go to our live correspondent here, Britt Flinn, with the latest in news. Look at Coop on the air xylophone, right?
Right? That's great. I mean,
Coop's the greatest guy in the whole wide world.
There it is. That's basketball, right?
your guess is as good as mine. I don't watch movies.
That's the drunk. That's when in basketball, when they get the kid drunk at the bar.
Correct the mundo.
12-year-old kid. I think Coop's the greatest guy in the whole world.
I think Coop's the greatest guy in the whole wide world.
This is.
You better jump in with some news here.
Yeah.
Burns is just going to keep going on.
This is the Burns show now.
So we've already gone over quite a bit of the injuries in tonight's game. The coach speak from Nick Sirianni. So let's move on to a couple of other games going on Sunday. Deontay Johnson with a hamstring. We heard yesterday that he would be out around 4 weeks, but he came out today and said that he was day to day and that he could play on Sunday. So which is it? Is it the beat reporters or is it him saying, I'm good to go? Because we've seen in the past where players have been like, no, I'm good to go. I'm healthy. I can suit up. And team doctors are like, nah, we're not doing this.
There's exactly one player that I trust to tell me his actual status, and that's
Austin Eckler.
Austin Eckler. Austin Eckler is the only person I've ever been able to trust because he'll tell you. He's like, I can't play or I am going to play. He's the only person. Everybody else, man, no chance, dude. J.K. Dobbins last year forever telling us he's going to play, and Michael Thomas, obviously. So I'll wait. That's one where I'm going to wait for Britt's Blitz tomorrow at least. And at the very worst case scenario, 11:30 on John and Pemba and I on this channel, that's when the official inactives come out and you'll know for sure. But right now, dude, I'm planning on him being on the bench.
Yeah, I'm planning on Deontay Johnson being on the bench. I never let players diagnose themselves at all. It just because they want to play. Now, maybe Eckler has turned around and said something that whatever. Then you know what? Speak up right now, Austin Eckler, because this dude's got an ankle injury right now.
Right.
I haven't even gone and looked at what my Wednesday waivers, for today have done. I haven't been able to lock into my lineups just yet. I have to check that out because I threw some bids in on Joshua Kelly. Because if Kelly's going to be the guy in the backfield, I want a piece of that. Britt, do we know anything about Austin Eckler?
Still haven't heard anything as far as right now. They are on the West Coast, so of course they practice a little bit later. I think we'll know within the next couple of hours if he does play today. But according to Adam Schefter, since they did elevate the guy from the practice squad, I can't even remember his name, it's not looking good that Eckler's actually going to play. So, yeah.
Oof is right.
But speaking of players self-diagnosing themselves,
yeah,
Aaron Jones is another one.
Okay.
After the game on Sunday, he said that he felt his hamstring tweak a little bit, but that he's had hamstring injuries in the past, and this one didn't feel near as bad, that he was going to be able to play. And today, he's still not practicing. And according to Packers beat writer Ryan Wood, he said that his absence is appearing problematic for his chances to play Sunday. And beat writers, I trust a lot more. They're around the team. They see what's going on. They're not these pundits or insiders. I mean, they're actually watching what's happening. So I don't know if Aaron Jones is actually going to play. And that means I'm going to have to go back and revise my weekly matchup previews because this news came out literally right up an hour after I posted that article. So I don't know. How do you guys feel? And if Aaron Jones doesn't play, is A.J. Dillon going to have a role?
Coop, I'll let you go first on this. I have a slight take on it. I'm not an A.J. Dillon fan, but I mean, if he's the lead back, he's the lead back, and you're going to have to start him. But Coop, what do you think?
I think we know what they were thinking when they drafted this guy, right? It was Matt LaFleur who was looking for the guy that was most similar to Derrick Henry that he could find. And he saw the quads on A.J. Dillon at Boston College and said, that's our boy there. I think, in an ideal world, they have it set up where he's the early and goal line back and Aaron Jones is the starter. But so the question I have is whether they're willing to bring somebody else in to do the pass catching. And I don't know if they even have anybody. I was looking at the depth chart earlier and Emmanuel Wilson. Do you guys even know who that is? I mean, I've never heard of that guy, but apparently he's third on the depth chart. So I could see a world where A.J. Dillon just gets the full job. It's just, is he going to be efficient? To me, it doesn't even matter. If Aaron Jones is straight up out, I'm putting A.J. Dillon in my lineup wherever I have. Howard, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, yeah, listen, if I have an Aaron Jones owner or if I'm an A.J. Dillon owner, yes, that's what I'm doing. I'm going to obviously play the guy and make sure it happens that way. I did my picks for the confidence pool are out right now on fantasyalarm.com. And you guys can check those out. It's just picks straight up without the spread. I can't say that I was incredibly confident on it, but I'll say it right now with a 4-point level of confidence. You go 16, the most confident, 1, the least confident. At 4, I've got the Falcons winning this game at home against the Green Bay Packers. I like what I see out of Jordan Love. I do think going from Aaron Jones to A.J. Dillon to only A.J. Dillon, it really it kind of it eliminates a lot of what you want in a dynamic for pass catching out of the backfield, and Aaron Jones plays such a strong role with that that you're going to see a lot of plotting, a lot of north-south running for AJ Dillon, and maybe they try to swing a pass out to him or something like that. But I think that this Atlanta defense, I think they did some great things during the offseason. The Packers wide receivers are banged up as well, because I know Christian Watson missed another practice yesterday. Romeo Doubs he's limited or whatever, but you're still dealing with a banged up receiving core here for Green Bay and an improved Atlanta offense. I think Atlanta is en route to a nice little upset victory, I guess. Actually the Falcons are a -118 favorite on the money line. So
that's another thing I'm going to have to revise. The Packers were -1, and now this Aaron Jones news came out, and now the line is shifted. But I think the Falcons also may be getting back Jeff Okudah, and that really helps out their secondary, especially with that banged up wide receiver room. I would wager on Luke Musgrave possibly having a very, very good game.
That's my boy. So Luke Musgrave, man. Last week he had a real tough matchup with Eddie Jackson. So we weren't starting with DFS. We were trying to avoid him in our regular leagues. All I wanted to see was the usage. And this guy went out, led the team in routes run. They didn't throw a ton, but he ran 24 routes. Next highest was a tie between Dubs and Jaden Reed with 20. So this guy's leading the team in routes run. He played 16 snaps in the slot. If he's on waivers out there, you don't necessarily have to start him this week. I do like him in DFS, but he shouldn't be on waivers in any league where you don't have a stud tight end. See if you can sneak him into that last bench spot. Him, Laporta, Kincaid, they all did what we hoped they would do. Michael Mayer did the opposite. He only ran 9 routes. So for redraft, you keep him for dynasty, but for redraft, you let Mayer go. He's done for us for now. But these other guys, man, they're playing wide receiver, and you can start them at tight end. That's kind of the cheat code. That's Mark Andrews. That's Travis Kelce. That's what Kyle Pitts is supposed to be, right? Like, that's what we want.
Well, I had Kyle Pitts in a league and actually picked up Musgrave because Kyle Pitts does nothing for me until Arthur Smith finally pulls his head out from where the sun doesn't shine. So I think I might end up playing Musgrave over Kyle Pitts this week.
Well, I mean, can't we just look at the fact that that game was never in doubt for Atlanta last week? Like, why are you gonna throw the ball? Why are you gonna have Desmond Ridder throw the ball to Drake London or Kyle Pitts when you know that you own the Carolina Panthers right now and your defense is holding up beautifully? And so just run the ball, run like an antelope, out of control. Britt, come on.
The highlight reel of wide open Kyle Pitts, literally standing there with his arms in the air at times, was ridiculous. And also, for those that didn't watch the game, there was another play that it was just a quick hitter to Pitts with no one around, and he just turns and nothing but space in front of him. Flag on the complete other side of the field for a holding that didn't need to happen because it was a bang bang play. So Pitts, he should have been 4 for 4 for more yards and even more than that. But it's so hard to trust Arthur Smith. I hate him. Kyle Pitts, where I have him, I'm rolling him out again this week. I know.
Hate such a strong word, such a negative word, Andrew.
Fine. I'm sorry. I dislike his play calling style.
I hope he has diarrhea for days.
That's stronger than what I said. Yeah, but you're right. I mean, for fantasy football, again, these guys don't care about fantasy football, but the worst thing that could happen for fantasy football is this team wins games throwing 18 times, which just happened. We need some challenges here. So I'm with you on the Falcons. I just hope that the Packers put up a fight and they have to throw just a little bit. I want to see what it looks like.
All right. Before we get back to some more of the news here, let's just kind of clean up this chat real quick because we just have a couple of questions. Nothing that I think we need to lay out too much. Just some start sits. Madison or Nico Collins, full PPR.
Collins.
I'm going to vote for Madison.
Too. I like Madison. I like Madison too. He played the full game. Nico, 10 targets, nice, but I don't know if the game script's always going to be there like that. Madison played against the Eagles. Yeah, against the Eagles.
So you say, Britt, you're on Collins versus the Colts?
I'm on Collins versus the Colts after what Calvin Ridley did to them, after the target share and snap share that Collins got. I mean, the Colts secondary is very bad. Both of these teams are pretty bad. So I think that there will be points scored in this game. Whereas, I mean, Philadelphia's run defense and that line is pretty good. And then you figure that their center's out and they might lose one of their starting tackles as well. I can't trust Madison in this game script.
CJ Stroud sucks. That's the problem we run into.
Argument either way. Okay.
So the thing here's the thing. I have so much Nico Collins that if he's Calvin Ridley this week, I'm gonna be rich. But
he's not Calvin Ridley.
Well, I'm not saying that he's Calvin Ridley, but
You said he was Calvin Ridley.
Now quote that, everybody. If he's not Calvin Ridley, you come back here on Twitter at Britt _
Flinn.
Somebody call fantasy receipts. Jesus.
Get him in here, dude. Yeah. You're right, Britt. There is upside. The upside, it's like the question is, do you want the high risk, high reward Nico Collins, or kind of the right down the middle Alexander Madison, who, he's going to get the usage. Is it going to be efficient? We don't know. I'm a conservative gamer.
Is he going to get usage though?
He will.
Coop's being conservative. I'm being conservative. Britt letting it all hang out. I don't mind it. There's rationale behind it. The Colts secondary is really, really bad. It's just a question, like I said, you're just believing in CJ Stroud's ability to get Nico Collins the ball. We'll wait and see. I think that's a good one. Let's write this one down. Coop, write this down.
I'm doing it.
And then, when we come back next week on Tuesday for Alarm Fantasy Football, either Britt will be, strutting her stuff a little bit, or you and I will be strutting ours.
Loser has to mentally dance during the intro.
Musgrave over Njoku in a half-point PPR, everybody?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I think so.
Probably the thing that scared me with Njoku is he blocked on 17.2% of his pass plays, which is above 15 is the absolute max that we're comfortable with. So I need to see him come out and be more of a pass catcher this week. So I'm going Musgrave. It's a good matchup for Musgrave too.
Mm-hmm.
AJ Dillon versus Breece Hall this week.
Oh, Dillon.
Yeah. Breece Hall looks so good though, but you still got to go Dillon.
He definitely did. Should I trade Elijah Moore for AJ Dillon?
I would not.
If Elijah Moore is like your wide receiver 5 and AJ Dillon goes directly into your lineup, then maybe. But otherwise, I don't know.
Yeah. If you own Aaron Jones, then it kind of makes sense too.
Right.
Just handcuff that situation.
But rest of season in a vacuum, I like Elijah Moore. I think he looked pretty good this week, right?
I thought he did look pretty good last week.
Yeah, he did.
Especially in that game script too.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if Njoku's going to be playing offensive tackle.
Let's see. Rich McEwen, he fears Ritter's going to force to throw the ball. Oh, I don't want to come back. Rich, stop with your negativity, my friend. Hello, John G from Seattle. Good to have you here. Garrett Wilson, Tyler Lockett, or Javonte Williams, PPR flex.
I
can't believe we're living in this world.
Me either.
I think so too. I cannot believe that this has happened in Garrett, because it should be Garrett Wilson. It might still be Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, I think that they're going to have to throw just to try to keep up, and we might get one of those lucky end zone throws in garbage time. But I mean, the Jets are, I'm sorry, Howard, earmuffs again, but the Jets are going to have such a very hard time against Dallas with that offensive line. The Bills' defensive line isn't that great, and the Cowboys' defensive line is just going to murder them. So I'm a little nervous.
I'd like to wait, since none of these guys play tonight, maybe wait and see if Chase Young's going to play. If Chase Young is out for Washington again, then Howard, you can get rid of the earmuffs now. If Chase Young is out for Washington again, then maybe just start Javonte. But otherwise, I'm going to start Garrett Wilson. Tyler Lockett, did Tyler Lockett clear concussion protocol?
I think
he doesn't have a questionable.
He's good. Okay, good. Oh, he's still the kind of lame option there.
Should I risk Aaron Jones being healthy on Sunday, or should I start Zach Moss or DeAndre Swift in a safe play? I would start Swift tonight because I'm not going to rely on Zach Moss playing. And if Aaron Jones is out, then you're fucked.
Yeah, exactly. Then you're starting scraps.
Yep. It's a really bad situation to be in, and it sucks, but that's the way of the fantasy gods.
So make sure you put Swift in that RB2 spot, so maybe you can start Aaron Jones at the flex if he's fully ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
Unagi. I like that. I like that. Garrett Wilson, Jamal. I'm gonna assume he means Jamal Williams, as opposed to Jamal Anderson, who doesn't play football anymore.
He was so
Or
good.
George Pickens. Wilson, Williams, Pickens in the flex full PPR. I feel like we just got to go with Wilson here. I don't even know if I can go Pickens.
Nah.
Yeah,
If Freiermuth is out, then it gets a little more interesting. But I think Freiermuth is good to go. Britt, you're the injury. Why do I even speculate? Britt, is Freiermuth good or what's going on?
There's still a questionable status. We still haven't heard. He
got
just a big old Q.
He got crunched. For anybody that saw that play, yeah, that was the trash compactor.
And like you mentioned it yesterday, it's not just broken ribs. I think I would rather have a broken rib than bruised cartilage, because bruised cartilage, like, you can't move, you can't breathe, like, you can't do anything.
What do you think you can do with a broken rib? Have you ever had a broken rib?
I've
I've had a broken
both.
rib and bruised cartilage.
Oh
And
my
the
Lord.
cartilage. So, fun story time. Jumped off a cliff because I'm stupid and over rotated and landed in a chair position rather than straight down. My entire rib cartilage on both sides was bruised. I could not breathe, roll over in bed, move, do anything for like 2 months. And that was just a bruise.
It's bad.
Yeah. It's very, very bad.
I had a broken rib one time, and it was like 3 broken ribs, and then I sneezed.
Oh.
And I gotta tell you, I don't think I've ever cried as hard in my life as that moment there.
Yeah.
Where's the sports?
Garrett Wilson, Jamal Williams, or George Pickens? I'm saying Wilson.
Yes.
I think Wilson, just in some garbage time, but man, it really makes me nervous. Against the Panthers, though, the Panthers did give up a lot of rushing yards, and if Jamal Williams is the only guy, I don't know. I'm going to lean Wilson, PPR.
Do it.
Sit one in a guillotine league. Madison, Algier, and Sutton.
Said Algier, right?
I would sit Algier.
Britt, don't you do it.
She's going to do it.
I'm going to do Madison.
She's sitting Madison. She hates Alexander Madison.
I don't hate him. I hate his situation, and I hate the game script, and I hate their offensive line.
That's like when I said to my wife, I said, I didn't say you were a bitch. I said you were acting like a bitch. Right. And then it's not a disclaimer that works, right?
She didn't turn around and be like, oh, okay, then. Yeah,
it's like,
cool.
I don't hate Alexander Madison. I hate Alexander Madison's situation.
Yeah.
I think he sucks at football. Yeah. Okay.
By the way, I didn't use the word bitch.
Oh.
I would never say that.
Which 2? Michael Rojas in the chat. Which 2 of 3 or 3 wide receivers would you start? All right, so I guess we could start 3 of these wide receivers if we want. Garrett Wilson, T. Higgins, Amari Cooper, Mike Williams, Romeo Doubs, or Jacoby Myers, assuming he plays. Well, Higgins for sure, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Britt, what's the ankle situation with Amari Cooper? Any update?
He's cleared.
Good.
No Q next to his name. So I think Higgins, Cooper, and honestly, I think that I would still go Doubs here. It's iffy, but
gotta start Garrett. I'm still starting Garrett Wilson. If Garrett Wilson, I gotta roll with my guy for now. The thing is, Jacoby Myers, great job with this team, because Jacoby Myers also played a ton of snaps, and Hunter Renfrow was hardly even involved. So, if he's good to go, then you're good to go. But no reason.
Mike Williams against that Tennessee secondary.
I know it's a good team. Try and do a 2-for-1 trade, Michael. 2-for-1
definitely.
For like a safer, because somebody will still bite on Garrett Wilson. If you could take Mike Will and Garrett Wilson and trade them for, like, I don't know, any Diggs, any just the best possible player, that'd be great.
Yeah, I agree with that. Goddard or Njoku? I'm going Goddard.
It's Goddard. And yeah, last week we were fading Goddard because of Kyle Duggar, but this is just a better matchup for him. A much better matchup. I mean, even Kate Otten did pretty decent against this team.
Alec Pierce or Rashad Bateman?
Pierce.
for a drop, yeah. I think.
To drop one?
It's for a drop.
Yeah, drop one.
That's so hard because Bateman didn't play. I love Bateman. Is he ever going to be a full-time player? I'm hoping it's the foot that's bothering him. That's why he only played half the game, but That would be bad.
And game script and things like that. I mean, I think seeing what we saw from Alec Pierce and Josh Downs, I think that Josh Downs might end up being the guy over Pierce. So I think I would drop Pierce.
Pierce just played like the whole game.
He did. All right. Well, we'll come back to the chat because I'm seeing a lot move in here, and now all of a sudden we're talking trade evaluations and stuff like that. So we'll get to all of that. And don't forget, everybody, coming up at 7 p.m. Eastern tonight, Andrew Cooper, John and Pemba are going to be doing a live stream right here on the Fantasy Alarm YouTube page, and that is all start-sit stuff. That is all Q&A. We like to kind of mix some stuff in here, so stay on top of that. Let's go with let's talk about our friends over at Underdog Fantasy. Can we talk about our friends over at Underdog Fantasy?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. So Underdog Fantasy, they've got new contests, new chances to win every single day. Their pick'em contest. I love their pick'em contest. You're just choosing between 2 to 5 players, and it's just higher or lower on their stat lines. That's it. It's very, very simple. Devonta Smith, 62.5 receiving yards. Are you going higher or are you going lower? Now, one of the great things that they've got going on in their game as well is that they're giving you a featured player, a mystery player. And if you add that player into your pick'em contest, then you're automatically entered into an overall special pick'em contest for Underdog where they're giving the winner $10,000. So all you have to do is get that player in there. Now, the player that they've got going on, we talked about this yesterday. It's Tua Tagovailoa, and its total yards, it's 277.5. Now, when we talked about this yesterday, we talked about the fact that that there's going to be huge weather issues going on here. It's Belichick scheming against Tua and Tyreek and those guys there. But I think Coop, if you give us like a little weather update here on what's going on, do we believe that this bomb cyclone is going to hit, and are we going to get excessive rain going on in this game?
Well, I'll tell you what, my judge for this kind of stuff is where my dog is within the house. If the dog's on the couch, it's not that bad. If the dog goes up to the bedroom under the bed, it's going to affect the game. If the dog is in the other side of the basement lying on top of my travel golf bag, you got to fade guys in the game. So I'm going to give you guys an update on Sunday on that. But as of right now, we had a tornado warning yesterday, and they're saying that, and the tornado actually touched ground in Lincoln, Rhode Island, and they're saying that still on Sunday, the weather is going to be worse than that. So you can't fade Tyreek Hill. You probably still got to play Waddle, but I'm probably not starting many pass catch. I'm if you picked up Kendrick Bourne, maybe you just kind of throw Kendrick Bourne on the bench and be happy with that,
See, I heard the opposite. I heard that although it's going to hit over the weekend, that by the time this game happens, it should all be moved out.
It is.
And
So
that
it
the
is the night
impacts
game.
are going to be minimal.
Yeah. So
that's where the kind of line is drawn. Is this thing going to stall out and not move on, or is it going to be clear? And that's kind of the scary part.
Right. So the good, it's the night game, which that kind of stinks a little bit because you got to start getting the guys by 1:00. But we should have a good idea of whether the brunt of it is over or not by then. All I know is that the storm itself, whether it comes on Saturday or Sunday morning or Sunday night, is supposed to be pretty rough. So if the bulk of it's over on Saturday night, we'll let you know. We're going to be live all morning, the three of us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, Britt, has the line moved? I'm seeing like a little update here. Has the line moved on Tua? Underdogs lowered it?
Today, yeah, when I checked it right before the show, the stat line had fallen to 271.5 total yards. So I think most people are kind of along our train of thinking as to what we said yesterday. But again, if that thing moves out and it's clear and good to go, who knows? So
Burns,
this
clear
is
that
something,
picture out of there. It's not 277.5 anymore. Get that.
it changed very fast, very quickly.
Why can't we get a decent producer who's updating these slides for us?
How dare you?
All right, let's do one pick each here for Underdog because again, you've got some great stuff here, and you're gonna want to. if you go to fantasy, if you've never played on Underdog, well, I mean, I honestly don't know what you're waiting for. Go to fantasyalarm.com/underdog. Use the promo code ALARM. You'll get a match deposit up to $100, and just throw that into a pick'em contest right there. And then make sure you add in Tua to your play, so that way you can get entered into their mystery pick'em special contest as well, which could win you 10 grand. 10 grand. So let's go around the room here. One pick each. What do you got there?
I'll go first.
Okay.
I'll go after Britt is what I was going to say if I wasn't interrupted by Britt. Britt, you go right ahead.
So I'm gonna go at TJ Hawkinson. His stat is currently set at 5 receptions. I'm gonna go higher. For him, he's looked very good. He had 9 targets last week. Darius Slay is going to be shadowing Justin Jefferson. I think that Kirk Cousins is going to look elsewhere, including Hawkinson and Jordan Addison, to get these points, especially with Bradbury out. So I think Hawkinson is going to have a very good game, and I'm going higher than 5 receptions.
Coop, how about you?
Yeah, I like that one a lot, and I actually, if you wanted a different flavor of that, I kind of liked the 9.05 fantasy points for Hawk, because then if he gets a touchdown, it doesn't matter if he gets the 5, so you go either way on that one. But he seems pretty locked in for 5. He caught 8 of 8 last week, and it's a good matchup. I mean, Hunter Henry this week was the tight end 1 in fantasy football, led in yards, scored a touchdown against this exact defense. So that's pretty good. For me, I'm going with the rookie flavor here, Dalton Kincaid. They have him at 29.5 yards. I'm going to go higher on that because his usage was exactly what we wanted to see this week. He played 47 snaps at wide receiver. He is the slot wide receiver for that team. He only played 8 in line, only blocked on 1 pass play. And everybody that watched that game, including Josh Allen himself afterwards, said that he needs to stop forcing it down the field, maybe stop running it as much when he could hang in the pocket and look for the intermediate routes. Well, guess who lives in intermediate land? It's our boy Dalton Kincaid. 29.5. That's easy for me. That's easy higher. Play the whistle.
All right, beautiful. Beautiful. All right, I'm going to go to tonight's game also. I said it earlier, and I'll stand by it here. Devonta Smith, 61.5 receiving yards. I mean, I'm in on Devonta Smith. I'm going to say higher. This secondary for Minnesota is not a strong secondary by any stretch of the imagination. And I think, listen, Devonta Smith, I've kind of grown to learn that AJ Brown and Devonta Smith are a 1 and a 1A. It's not a wide receiver 1 and a wide receiver 2. We've seen great games from both players, and I'm going to say that the 1A is Devonta Smith. So higher on 61.5 receiving yards tonight.
If you wanted to do a triple threat for just tonight and get it all in there, how do we take Britt's call for the lower on Alexander Madison and go with the higher on Hawk and the higher on Devonta Smith and lower on Madison? Britt, where would you go? He's got 51.5 rushing yards, 71.5 rushing plus receiving, 16.5 receiving yards, 10.95 fantasy points. Which one? What's your lower du jour for that one?
I just think I'm going to go lower on all of them, to be quite honest. And it's
she doesn't hate Alexander Madison. She
listen,
just thinks he's going to be bad in every possible way.
But listen, so last week against the Buccaneers, he did play 47 snaps. He ran 26 routes, but he only had 4 targets and 11 carries. And this game is going to be a lot harder than the Buccaneers game was. And I really think if he got game scripted out of last week's game, he's definitely going to be game scripted out of this week's game. And I can't trust him.
I think the lower on 71.5 rushing plus receiving might be the move then. Right?
There you go. So do the lower on that, and then do the higher on Devonta, do the higher on Hawk. And then I would do another one there and then slide in the Tua pick also. So that way you can get entered into this other contest. No doubt about it. Again, fantasyalarm.com/underdog. Promo code ALARM gets you 100% match deposit. The pick'em games are outstanding. There's so much going on over at Underdog Fantasy. So do yourselves a favor and get on over there right now. Make that first deposit and thank us the next day. Well, I got to tell you, first and foremost here, before we get back to the chat, because everybody's kind of chatting up here, Coop, I'm going to declare that if Alexander Madison does suck tonight, the nickname should be the Peacock, right? Like, because she's going to be strutting. Feathers out, strutting her stuff, right?
What do you think, Britt?
You know,
What do
my
you think,
grandma had a peacock.
Go on.
He lived in her front yard and on her roof and ate berries out of the patch. And he was
That'll be Britt.
he was a real butthole though.
Well, if you get this
Did
right,
we just get peacock and butthole into the same sentence there?
with that music,
With the
playing.
porn music going?
Yeah, there you go.
What can I say?
Yeah, so Britt will be strutting in or rolling in or whatever we got going on for the game tomorrow.
Go to Whole Foods and get some berries too, so I can just eat the berries.
Mentally dancing to the intro music. What do you even do with a peacock, though? I mean, it's not like you don't like eat peacock eggs or anything. You just have it. It's a pet.
I don't even know how it showed up. It literally just showed up one day in the Ozark Mountains of Arkansas. A peacock showed up and decided to stay.
You got stray
and
cats.
her name was Britt Flinn.
It was the weirdest situation, and I had never seen a peacock in the wild since or before then.
Okay,
it's the weirdest thing.
All right, we got wild turkeys around here, which makes my dogs absolutely bonkers because they just sit there and they run around with them big floppy feet and just running all over the place. It's crazy. Yeah. All right, we're gonna go back to the chat right now. Here, we're gonna rapid fire this, guys. So let's bing bang boom, clear the deck. Make everybody nice and happy. Jelly of the Month says, drop Antonio Gibson, which is his RB 5 or 6, or a hurt Brandon Cooks to add Jacoby Myers to the bench.
I'm dropping Gibson. He didn't play.
Well, and I think if he's your RB 5 or 6, whatever he is, like you've got depth there. You can afford that.
Angie Hatfield says, I'm sad at this question, but would you start Carr over Daniel Jones this week? I say no.
No,
I'm saying Daniel Jones.
I think Daniel Jones has something to prove after last week. And against the Cardinals, you couldn't ask for a better rebound matchup. So I'm still going to go Jones.
Cardinals the worst team in the league, for sure.
Will Lewis says, including plays negated by penalty, Thomas had 10 total targets and the end zone throw was meant for him. First target on many plays, 2 years out from ACL. Great pickup, or am I missing something? I love Logan Thomas. Yeah. In Eric Bieniemy's offense, where he's just like, throw it to the tight end, throw it to the tight end, throw it to the tight end.
Right. And
that's what we do with Kelsey.
A lot of Cole Turner talk this offseason. Cole Turner did not even play 10 snaps. Forget about Cole Turner. It's Logan Thomas. It's his job once again. So, yeah, for sure.
There you go. And Dunn wants to know, can you start both Atlanta running backs this week? Would have to sit either Mostert or Brandon Cooks. Sounds like Cooks is iffy.
And so is Mostert.
So is
Mostert's
Mostert.
questionable.
Although
as well.
Mostert didn't practice yesterday, and they came out and they said that it was veteran rest.
Well, I don't know.
You're not
again. I don't know about that. And Green Bay's run defense was still one of the worst in the league, even against Chicago and that pretty bad line. So I think you can start both this week. Now going forward, be cautious because Bijan is going to get the role eventually. But this week, I think you can start both.
All right.
I'm in.
Let's see. Scamper says leaning with Britt and sitting Madison, because Scampers didn't say he hated Madison. He just hates Madison's situation. So let's just keep moving and grooving and see what we got going on here. Would you take either of these trades and which one? First, my Nakua and Kelly for Godwin and Kirk, or my Nakua and Damian Harris for Godwin?
I think
I can't find that one. Can you pull that one up, Burns?
If you're sending away Nakua and Harris, I think I would take Godwin.
Yeah, I would.
But honestly, you get a little bit more on the first one with Kelly, but depending on the severity of Austin Eckler's ankle injury, you may want to hold on to Kelly. So that's why the second one's my lean.
All right.
Cool.
I can dig it. I can dig it. Drop Pierce to pick up Downs?
No. Damian
I mean,
Pierce?
even if it's Alec Pierce, no. I mean,
Yeah.
right?
I
Damian
had a
Pierce,
dream
Alec
last
Pierce?
night that Josh Downs scored 20 fantasy points this week.
I had a
Did you?
I
did.
I had a dream last night that Josh Downs was playing the full snap share, but then I woke up and it was Michael Pittman and Alec Pierce.
I had a weird dream about Ari Fink from Fish Radio. I don't know. Maybe it's because I just fell asleep listening to music. Dalton Kincaid or Sam Laporta, half-point PPR.
Kincaid versus the Raiders at home in what I think will be a big bounce back game for these Buffalo Bills.
Britt?
I think I'm going Laporta this week.
The one concern, so Laporta, the matchup is good, supposedly, even though Tyler Higbee didn't do anything against Seattle when he should have. The problem that I run into is Laporta quietly blocked on 5 pass plays for some reason. They had him in line. I didn't love that. So I have them back to back in my rankings, but it's very close. I just wish that Laporta was playing wide receiver like Kincaid instead of playing tight end, like, boring.
Okay.
Well, I think the tiebreaker for me is game script. I think that the Bills are going to go out there looking for vengeance and that James Cook is going to get a lot more work, even potentially moving out to catch passes in the slot a couple times. So that's why it's Laporta for me, but you're right. It is really, really close.
I think, I don't know if Jamal Adams is going to be back in there for Seattle. I'm kind of leaning Laporta as well. Fav Rock says, should I trade Terry McLaurin and AJ Dillon for Judy and Joshua Kelly? No, I wouldn't.
No, I wouldn't do that either, though I am high on Judy because nobody stepped up for the Broncos in his absence. And Marvin Mims hardly even played. So when Judy gets back, he's going to have a good role, but you're trading for an injured player.
No, Marvin Mims is actually relegated to the second team on the depth chart now. Lil Jordan Humphrey got moved up to first team.
Lil Jordan Humphrey and Brandon Johnson played almost double the snaps of Marvin Mims, so I'm not surprised.
Is Quentin Johnston droppable?
That's so tough because the thing is, he's battling with Joshua Kelly to be the 4th target on the team behind Mike Williams and Keenan Allen and Austin Eckler. So maybe.
Mike Williams, who got his bell rung again last week and was out for a little while, came back and everything. I don't know, man. I think if we're talking about a bench stash, I think I don't think there's anything out there on the wire right now that has me like, yeah, I can just drop Quentin Johnston and pick somebody else up that's going to have higher upside. I don't know if I can do that.
Yeah. Mike Williams or Keenan Allen will miss games, right? We know that. And
I think you drafted him too high to just give up on him in the first week.
Okay. Yeah. Hold on to him unless there's somebody amazing on the wire. But yeah, I would definitely don't drop him just to drop him.
All right. Look at that. See, we cleared the deck, everybody. Good for us. Good for us. Hey, by the way, if you guys are looking for a place to watch tonight's game, there's no better place than doing it in the BetterCast app. All right. We've got a great thing going on here with the BetterCast app. BetterCast.app. Just go to your, if you got an Android, go to your Google Play App Store. If you're on iPhone, then just, download it over there. It is a free download. And then on top of that, you answer questions. We've got pregame questions. We've got in-game questions. Points are awarded. Tickets are won. And then you can take those tickets and redeem them for prizes. We've got, there's like a bunch of sports memorabilia stuff that you can check it out. We got a lot of stuff from Fanatics. So if you're looking for a new jersey to wear or a new game jersey to wear, all of that stuff there is available to you, and it's all free. You don't have to have a subscription to Fantasy Alarm, but I suggest that you do if you want to learn how to win. That's fine too. So it's a free download. It's free contests to play. It's a great time. We all hang out in the chat. I'll actually be less distracted tonight because Aaron Rodgers has already torn his Achilles and couldn't possibly do that again tonight during the game. So the BetterCast app, that's the place to watch the game tonight. We're all going to be in that room answering questions, having a great time, maybe talking a little smack at each other. Who knows, right? I can't wait to get into that chat and be like, Britt does not hate Alexander Madison. She hates his situation.
You know what? Everybody says we don't hate players, we hate ADP. So why is it different now when I say that I hate his situation?
Because
Okay.
I'm just equating it to what I said to my wife. That was it. That's all I'm doing. I'm just, you know what? In all honesty, Britt, it's to pump you up, and it's to, ease the joke from my wife, because that's like the family joke now, is that I actually, like, those words actually came out of my mouth. I didn't mean for them to come out of my mouth. They just did. Listen,
You are
I was in
a smelly
Amsterdam.
pirate hooker.
Like a plastic collar over my neck, just to help in
Like
your.
like a shock collar.
No, like just something to protect your neck, so that when she wants to slit your throat in your sleep.
Oh, listen, if my wife wants to slit my throat, there's no way a protective like a neck collar for like whiplash. There's no way that's gonna be.
There's no stopping her.
There's no way in hell. There's no way in hell. She'll put the pillow over my face, right, to start smothering me. Then she just stab it. All right. Well, let's see. We got any final thoughts here? Do we want to make a pick for tonight's game? Do we want to, anything else as we stroll on out of here?
I think that we can pick maybe. Well, I think the Eagles are going to win this for sure.
Yeah, I wanted to give you guys a one thing real quick with the Quentin Johnston situation we just talked about.
Yeah.
Same situation tonight with Jordan Addison. Like, are we going to get Jordan Addison over KJ Osborne? We know he's better, right? I mean, like, does anybody actually think KJ Osborne's better than Jordan Addison? So, are we going to get that flip tonight where Jordan Addison plays more, or is we going to have to wait on that?
See, I don't even know if it's really that situation, because Quentin Johnston saw more. He didn't say as many snaps as Joshua Palmer did on the field, but he did see more targets than Joshua Palmer. So, I don't necessarily know if that's like the equation. Like, Quentin Johnston, to me, he's got value in the sense that Keenan Allen and Mike Williams have extended injury histories. Like, I think it's just a matter of time before Jordan Addison starts to outperform KJ Osborne, because he's just a better player.
Bingo. Mm-hmm. Plus, moving ahead of KJ Osborne makes him the wide receiver 2 on the team, whereas Quentin Johnston moving ahead of Josh Palmer he still needs to wait for that injury. So I'm just wondering if it's tonight, because last week KJ Osborne played 58 snaps, Jordan Addison played 36. Do we get that flip tonight, or does it come down the road a little bit?
I think with Bradbury out, it's probably flipped. I think that they wanted to work in Addison and see what he was made of, since it was his first game, and
scored a 39-yard touchdown.
Exactly. Yeah. They're like, okay, this kid's good. He's
Conditions are perfect. If it does happen tonight with Bradbury out, conditions are perfect.
Yep.
All right. Well, there you go. I will say this. I mean, I posted it over on fantasyalarm.com, so you can check out some of my favorite props for tonight. I won't tell you who I picked against the spread. You can look at that, but I did take the over 49 points tonight.
Ooh, that's a fun one. Betting the under, it's just watching. I bet the under out of spite sometimes. Like, if I have to go out to like dinner or something and I can't watch the game, I'm like, I bet the under. I bet the under. I'm just sitting there at dinner looking at my phone. I'm like, good, this game sucks. Anyway.
Oh my God.
That's a pretty good way to put it.
That's not good gambling advice. That's not gambling advice, folks, but I do that sometimes. I'm like, yes, this game is lame.
I don't think you should be doing too much gambling tonight.
All right. Oh, man. All right. Yeah. Well, I think I've had enough. Unless you guys have anything else to say, I think we're in a good spot here for Alarm Fest. Any last minute questions? Yeah. Oh, Favrox wants to know, what about Terry McLaurin and AJ Dillon for Judy and Pickens? Why do you want to trade away a running back? And I mean, listen, I get that Terry McLaurin's got the toe injury and we're iffy on that, but why do you want to trade a running back when his counterpart in the backfield is hurt and could be out longer?
I get the idea, though, from Favrox that maybe he's just trying to capitalize. If you're not starting AJ Dillon, AJ Dillon's nowhere near your starting lineup. I get the idea of trying to capitalize on the short-term value of Dillon, the short-term value boost. So not bad, but maybe I'd go for slightly better players if possible.
Yeah, I still lean the Terry and Dillon side.
Right.
Hold on to them.
I don't dislike the idea of trading Terry and Dylan, but I would go a little bigger. Maybe even do a 2-for-1 for one really good player instead of two guys, you know?
I like it. All right. Well, there you go. We're going to mic drop it on that note there. Again, as always, a big thank you to all of you for joining us here. Questions in the chat. Please hit that like and subscribe button over at the Fantasy Alarm YouTube page and share it with your friends, for crying out loud. Don't keep us all to yourself. We'll give you our answers and you can talk to us in Discord, but share us with the world. The world needs us 100%. That's going to do it. Big thanks again to Brian Burns, to all of you. For Britt, Flynn, Andrew Cooper, I'm Howard Bender. This has been Alarm Fantasy Football. We'll catch you next time.